Okay, let's talk about building a seven-figure sales team. All right, a seven-figure sales team from scratch. Say you're watching me right now and you're at six figures and you want to scale to seven figures, but you don't have the proper team. So let's first talk about the math. If you're going to build anything, you need to lock the math down. A seven-figure sales team means the team can reliably produce $1 million a year in booked revenue. I'm not talking about potential revenue. I'm not talking about, what we can see, profit margin and all of that great stuff. I'm talking about a team that can set this. So number one, what is the annual target? Let's just say $1 million right now. What is the average deal size within your company? Is it $5,000, $10,000, $25,000? And then what is the close rate? All right. Example, 20 to 30% on qualified calls. And then what is the show up rate? When you guys book calls within the company, what is the show up rate within the company? And then of course, from lead to book call, what is that rate? Is it between 2 and 8%, depending on the channel that you're using to attract leads into your company? All right, so a quick formula is the deals that are needed equals the target divided by the ads or whatever you're using, advertising or whatever you're using to attract leads. Qualified calls needed equals deals divided by the close rate, and booked calls needed equals qualified calls divided by the show up rate. If you can't do this math, you'll hire your sales team, your sales reps in the dark. All right. So step two, once you have locked the math in and you know how much it takes for you to get leads, how much it takes for you guys to close a deal in a rate, what's your close rates, what's your show up rate? Because just because, your people may have closed the, got the book call, did they show up to the call? Okay, so once you identify all of those things, step two is productize your offer. Sales can't sell confusion. So before hiring any sales rep or any sales manager or anything regarding sales, when you're building your sales team, you want to make sure your offer is easy to sell. You want to make sure that you have an irresistible offer, an offer that is so good, that's so undeniable that people want to buy. All right. So you want to create a one-page offer sheet with who is your offer for and who is not for, the outcome. So what is the specific transformation that your client or customer is going to get if they buy your product? The mechanism that is used to deliver the result to your client, the proof that you guys have, the wins, the credibility, the case studies, the price and the terms, the guarantees, if any, and the timeline and what happens after the purchase. If your offer changes every conversation, then your sales reps won't be able to scale the product, right? In terms of selling. So you need to make sure that you have a standardized offer that's irresistible, that's so good that people have to buy the product, okay? Step three, you want to decide on your sales model. You want to pick one model, and I emphasize one model based upon your deal size and volume. You want to pick one model based upon your deal size and your volume. Okay, so it could be a high ticket appointment setting and closers. So setters, they book the qualified calls. They go through your back end, whether you're using Go High Level or any type of platform like that. And they're looking at the leads that you guys have and they're contacting the leads and they're getting the leads. They're qualifying the leads to make sure that they can book a call. So your setters are booking qualified calls. Your closers are running sales calls and they're closing. All right. And then you have full cycle reps. This is a second type of sales model. All right. Same reps handle outreach and close. So these are people that do everything. They reach out to the leads and they're closing the lead. It works better for lower volume, but it's higher complexity. And then you have the last model, which is inbound only closers. So their marketing generates calls, their closers convert, and works when you already have a lot of demand. Okay, most founders scale fast choosing A. They have setters that book qualified calls, and they have closers that run sales calls and close. All right. Step four, you want to build a pipeline. Never hire before leads. A sales team without lead flow is a payroll stress. You're going to be wasting your money. So you want to make sure that you have a calendar that can support at least 10 to 30 book calls per week, depending on the deal size, and a clear lead source. Are you doing ads? Do you have aggressive content? Right, an ecosystem of content, whether you're doing TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, whatever. You want to make sure that you have aggressive content. Are you doing partnerships? Are you doing outbound, lead generation, affiliates, events? You just want to make sure that you have a lead flow, because if you don't have a lead flow, then your closers and your setters are wasting their time and you're wasting money. Okay, if you cannot reliably book calls yourself, you can't delegate it to a rep. So if your leads are inconsistently coming in, then you're really not ready for a sales process yet, or a team. You need to focus on your marketing. All right. Step 5, you want to create then a sales process, single track. Okay. You want to document your sale stages. Example, you have a new lead. The new lead gets contacted. The new lead then books a call. They show up on the call. They qualify for the offer. You send a proposal, you close the deal on the call, meaning you either take the payment, some sort of payment, and then you start onboarding, and onboarding is complete. So that's like an 8 to 9 step sales process. This is what you're turning into a SOP to give to your sales reps so that they can follow it. All right. You want to define the entry and exit criteria for each stage so you can ensure you can measure the conversion. You want to know the conversion rate of how many people are getting contacted. So how many leads you have coming in and out of your company weekly, daily, monthly, quarterly, yearly. You want to know how you're contacting your leads, and you want to know the show up rate, right? The booked call rate, and then the show up rate. Okay. And then of course you want to know how much money you guys are actually making. Step 6, you want to build out your sales scripts and your assets. You need 6 core sales assets when it comes to your sales team. Number 1, your discovery script. This is what is given to leads that are qualified. People that have tapped into your free challenge, or they watched your content, or they bought a free guide, or they just went straight to your call link. There needs to be some sort of form, something there where you can diagnose their pain, their desire, the timeline, and the resources that they have. You need a closing script. You need a script that you can give to your closers, where they're going through the problem, the cost, the solution, the cost of the problem that the lead has, the solution, which is your offer, the investment of your offer, and then of course the decision whether they're going to come in or not. You need an objection handling guide. Every company will have different objections. Like for example, with me, because I work primarily with women, one of the major objections that we get is, hey, I need to talk to my husband. All right. Or I don't have time right now, or I'm busy, so the money, the time, the spouse, the trust, that I need to think about it. You need to have an objection handling script or guide that will handle those objections when they come in. Okay. You also need a follow-up sequence with text DMs every 7, 14, and 30 days. So you want to make sure that you have a follow-up sequence. And then of course, a qualification score card. All right, a qualification, let me say that over because I got tongue twisted. A qualification scorecard. Who gets a call versus who gets nurtured. It's a difference between how you're nurturing your leads and who is ready for a call. All right, so you need to have something, a scorecard for that. And then of course, an offer deck or doc. This is a simple visual that anchors the close. All right, salespeople scale what's written, not what's in your head. Step 7, you want to hire in this order. Do not skip any levels or any steps. Phase 1 is solo or first hire. All right, number 1, closer. If you have inbound calls already, or a one setter, if your bottleneck is booking calls. So if you already have a lot of leads coming in, then you may just need a closer. All right. And then if your bottleneck is getting calls booked, then you need a setter. All right, so a closer or setter, that's your first hire. Your second hire, your phase 2, is adding one more setter and one more closer. So now you'll have 2 setters and 2 closers once you have consistent call volume. Phase 3 is you want to add a sales manager over 3 to 5 reps and consistent metrics. Okay, and then of course, because CRMs can become very messy, you then want to have just someone that can handle the CRM, like an admin over the CRM. Hiring a manager too early is expensive. So you want to make sure that your company is actually ready. So again, you want to have a consistent lead flow. You want to make sure that then you have somebody, a setter, who can contact those leads and qualify them and get them on a book call. And then from there, you want to have a closer that can handle the conversations that leads to a decision, which ultimately will lead to money getting paid and contracts being signed. All right. Step 8, you want a comp plan. All right, that motivates without killing margin. A simple starting structure for your closers is commission, anywhere between 8 and 15% of the deal, depending on the price and the margin, and bonuses for weekly and monthly targets. For setters, you can start between every show, you can do $20 to $75. So that's if they set it somebody and the person showed up to the call. And then if the person closed the deal with the person that they set, right, the appointment that they set, if the closer closes the deal, they get anywhere between $50 and $300, or you can give them a percentage of commission depending upon what deal is actually closed. All right, so there's a big difference between, hey, I closed the deal, and hey, the person just showed up, and the person showed up and they closed. So there's a difference. All right. And then, of course, rules. You pay on collected revenue, not promises. Clear chargeback policy. So if the person charged back, if they want a refund, if they, don't want it anymore, you need a chargeback policy. And then fast payout cadence equals hungry reps. So payout should either be at the end of every day, every Friday, every Tuesday and Thursday. You need something that's consistent, because if they're waiting at the end of every month, they're not going to be really motivated to really be hungry to, close deals. All right. And then you want to install tracking and accountability. And this is the real manager: daily non-negotiable KPIs. At the beginning of every business day, you should have a meeting with your sales reps, just motivating them, maybe doing some quick practices or whatever. Role playing is big with sales reps. You just want to make sure they're motivated, and then you want to go through the KPIs of that day. All right. So number 1, your setters are tracking this: new conversations that they're starting in the DM, the email, or on cold call. All right. The follow-ups that they're sending every day. How many follow-ups are they sending every day? These are what your appointment setters are tracking every single day. These are non-negotiable. So again, new conversations they're starting, follow-ups that they're sending out, calls that they're booking, and show up rate and qualified rate. All right. So this is what your setters are tracking. What your closers are tracking is calls that have been taken, the close rate, revenue collected, average deal size, and one call close percentage. You're looking at the end of every week with your closers and your setters, the weekly review. Where is conversion leaking? Which stage is the bottleneck? What script changes needs to be fixed? And if it's not measured, it cannot be managed. All right. If it's not measured, it can't be managed. So again, step 10, how teams actually get good is the training cadence that you do with your reps, your sales reps in your company, and your setters. A 3-part weekly system is good. So role playing, like I said, 2 times a week. This is handling objections, or doing a full call. Calling reviews 1 time a week, meaning what are the wins, what are the misses. I recommend recording all your calls, of course, going through one of those calls once a week in front of everybody and saying, okay, pausing it, sharing your screen. This is what you could do better. If you're in person in the office or whatever, going through that is very important. Or a live calibration call. So once a week, you can actually get on a call with you as the CEO and doing a live sales call in front of your sales reps and closers, so you can tighten messaging, look at new angles. Your reps get sharp through repetition. That's one thing, even when I was learning sales and when I was on strong sales teams, and even with my company, I find that when you actually do repetition, your reps get extremely strong. All right. And step 11, quality control and onboarding, so you don't create churn. Sales without delivery alignment creates refunds and reputation damage. So you want to install clear expectation setting on calls. What happens next, which is your onboarding script, handoff notes in CRM, your post-sale confirmation message, and your delivery feedback loop with your product team or to your sales team. A 7-figure team protects retention. as hard as it chases a new deal. I remember when I was scaling beyond six figures in my first company, when we were doing like multiple 50K months and $30,000 months and stuff. One thing I realized is that I was going so hard on content, marketing, booking the calendar, having those 10 to 30 calls a week, closing 5 a week, and then, but the delivery, which creates the retention to the customer, was bad. So we're getting refunds, we're getting, chargebacks, we're getting people that are, so we had to tighten up and really focus on delivery as much as we were focusing on marketing. All right. And chasing new deals. Step 12, you want to scale with levers, not chaos. Once your process works, you want to scale by putting one lever at a time. You want to increase your call volume, adding more leads, adding more setters. You want to increase your close rate, more trainings, better qualification processes. You want to increase your deal sizes. So you want to add premium tiers, annual pays, upselling, and you want to reduce your churn by better onboarding and better delivery. Seven figures is usually 1 to 2 levers consistently pulled. All right, it's 1 to 2 levers consistently pulled. And the minimum viable 7 figure team is, you want a good offer between $5,000 to $15,000. You want a team of 2 setters, 2 closers. Your goal should be 10 to 20 qualified calls a week. Your close rate target should be anywhere between 20 and 30%. And your weekly booked revenue should be like anywhere between 20,000 and up to really hit a $1 million per year pace. All right. So this is how you really build a successful sales team for a 7-figure company. And if you guys enjoyed this video, I want you to give it a thumbs up. I want you to comment what you learned. And of course, subscribe to the channel for more videos. All right. Love you all, and I'll see you soon.